We're going to go through how to get your first Ornithopter built. There are a few ways we can go about this. We can obviously go with the obvious way, which is to build up the materials. I will give a few tips when we get into that portion of the video. Things like the cobalt paste, diamond dust, the industrial pumps are not the most obvious. Once you know where they are, not too difficult to get. Complex machinery is another one where you can get it from all over the place, but there are a few places where it shows you on the map. But ordinarily, I didn't find that one to be the one that was most difficult to get. The industrial pump is the most elusive, and the diamond dust and carbide scraps come from only a few places. We can get around crafting by purchasing the parts. As far as I can tell, there are two ways to do this, but I'm not entirely sure because I can't exactly reduce my rank in a faction. You can, if you come to the anvil right here that you can see, join a faction and then get that faction to level 4, and you'll find a fairly obvious vendor at each of their bases. I'm of course with Atreides right now, and so if you come over to this base over here, once you've reached rank 4, there's a vendor over there, and again, once you reach rank 4 with Harkonnen, there's another vendor over this way that will sell you the parts for the Ornithopter. The menu when you get there is going to look identical to a different one that I'm going to show you. I don't know if you just need to get to level 4 with one faction to unlock them all, or whether it's always available. This is a bit of an unknown for me right now, but if you travel to Arrakis Village, we just follow the stairs straight up. This area is very simple. I quite like Arrakis Village for that. So we head on out to the airfield, as you guys will see once we get up there. Once you're up here, you'll find this vendor. I'll bring the map up. I don't like using the map in these villages because they're really, like, you can't move it around, right? But you can see that I'm over on the western side there, and this vendor also sells you the Ornithopter parts. Now, the part that I don't know is whether or not we need Atreides ranking or not, because there is also a buggy vendor that is in Harker Village, which is the Harkonnen village, and I am also able to buy those parts from there. I don't know whether we just need to have level 4 in general, or if the faction affects this in any way, but you can see the cost right here. It's not the cheapest, but if for whatever reason you have been clearing out a lot of points of interest and have money lying around, but you don't have the materials, or maybe you're half and half, maybe you built half an Ornithopter, or you have enough for half your Ornithopter, you can go ahead and fill in the remaining parts from the vendors. The next thing that we can do is to start farming the Imperial testing stations that we have in the Eastern Shield Wall area. I haven't tested a lot of the other stuff, but the Western area feels quite a bit high level, so I probably wouldn't recommend that. If we just run the testing station 17 and the testing station 142, you'll generally find that you get a few Thopter parts. Additionally, because you'll be running this and clearing out some of the machinery, you should get your complex machinery from here and the servox and particle capacitors. So running these is going to be good, even if you intend to craft your Thopter anyway. In addition to that, a good recommendation is to have a preferential grab of some of the main body parts for the Thopter. If we look at mine, for example, you'll see that the wings, the engine, and the CPU actually wear down, but the rest of the Thopter does not. So things like the hull and the chassis, even if you get those partially damaged and just repair them back up, they're not going to take damage anyway. If we just get those parts, that can save you some materials. When it comes to the rest of the parts then, let's look at some of the parts here. So we've got aluminium ingots. This should be extremely simple to find. It's as simple as finding the aluminium nodes on the map. There are a ton. It's actually not showing up on the map for me right now. There are a ton around here up at the north end of the map, which is completely uncontested. No enemies around there, and you can get it extremely easily. We should already have a ton of advanced servox because what we've just been doing. Cobalt paste comes from the erythrite crystals. I'm going to do a video specific on that, but basically what you're looking for there is the mineral extraction facilities in this huge tunnel gap thing. So long as you're going through here, you come to one of these mineral extraction facilities. That's where you're going to find red crystals. Go ahead and farm that from there. Armor plating should have plenty of. That comes from enemies and chests in all sorts of dungeons. Diamond dust and carbide scraps we're going to talk about at the same time. They both come from the same spot, so you will need to be a little bit of a high level. Why is it not highlighting on my map? I did have that unlocked. We have a big giant snake area right here, and chests all around this area of interest are going to drop those for you, which is why this can be a little bit more difficult to find because it doesn't come up on much of the other points of interest. It's just going to come from this area right here, which for some reason has cleared itself on my map. I don't know why. Complex machinery is a similar story to the armor plating. It comes from machinery that you find in pretty much any point of interest. So if you highlight something like these areas down here, it'll tell you that you're going to come to the Southeast Ironworks, but you can find them all over the place. In fact, if you use the Imperial Station 142, like I told you before, you'll actually find some in there, and you will find some in this Sentinel City right here, which is important because we're going to talk about industrial pumps in a second. You should find the complex machinery all over the place. Just in machinery, it should go around points of interest. Very easy to find. Which does bring us to the industrial distro pump. A little bit like the carbide, only comes in one spot that I've seen so far. It may come from other places that I haven't seen. The most reliable place to get it is right here, Sentinel City. So if you go to Sentinel City, which is this big tall rock, you can't actually see it on the map here. It has a big lion face at the top, so you really can't miss it. Clear this out. It's quite a big point of interest, so go through it and you should come out with a good amount of the industrial pumps. Of course, this all needs putting together at the vehicle construction fabricator. Come on over to your Ornithopter. Go ahead and you get your parts made like so. We're going to have a quick chat about why you might want to farm the initial parts from points of interest before going ahead and crafting it, and that is because if we look at these costs here, this is quite a lot of aluminium, which you could instead be spending on the duraluminum one, because directly after this you'll be wanting to go into the irradiated area for the crystals, and you could just use those aluminium ingots you just used on your initial scout ornithopter on the higher level one. If you can wait just a little bit so that you can farm the parts and then buy the parts for the basic one, you'll then be able to save your aluminium to upgrade into duraluminum so that you can create the higher level ornithopter, which I think is the better way to go about it.